so enough delay. Let's start talking about some Rainbow Six Siege, shall we? It's been a little while. Well, last Wednesday seems like an eternity ago, and, well, we're still going to keep things pretty kosher, all except for the second offensive ban, John. This is going to be a pretty tight-knit offense when it comes to Oregon. No one's going to be allowed to really have fun.
No, especially on that second floor hold, especially. Now, this one corresponding to the previous two bans, kind of locking these three in as a result of them all being picked. Cade will be knocked out, and that is to counter the Maverick ban and the Thatcher ban, and then finally we'll fall in line with another one that we pretty much expected to see here given the previous three bans. Mira getting knocked out. She's a fairly common pick to be removed on this map.
They just had to make sure the offense couldn't do anything, did they? I mean, this is going to be a little ridiculous. The good news, though, is that the second, or rather the first defensive ban, but our second set of bans, Kaid was removed. He was going to be so paramount to anybody's success if he went through with those two offensive bans.
So not going to see that be the case. There is still some potential for mitigation to make its way through and last a bit longer into the round than you would normally see when either a Maverick or other forms of wall breach would have been available, but no longer going to be the case. However, Mirage won't need it for this site, so we'll talk more about that on a future round. As far as Astralis is concerned, they've got the expected lineup of operators too. Good, healthy mix of soft breach, mid-fight utility, stacking the nades, as we see, of course, with Iconic going on to the Finca, and then plenty other utility to assist them aside from that. We'll see if anybody repicks, but more than likely not going to be the case. This is a pretty straightforward site under both circumstances, so we will see how this all plays out.
And as for Mirage's setup, it's looking fairly straightforward. They're not going to bring the laser gates in of Arunio, no. Instead, they're going to bring Wamai and Jaeger to try and prevent any of these throwables from Astralis' end from coming into some important positions. Mirage will be investing some reinforcements on the mid-floor. Benji will currently be investing one of those inside of Kitchen, just for the single panel, so Mirage can exist around this space for a little while longer. He'll have an impact so he can at least rotate out. I believe that's more than likely going to be for the security hatch, but Astralis is already on top of this. Shuttle's moving through, already in through Z. Has a player inside of Shower. Iconic could assist in the pinch here, but with a multitude of bodies, the first blood already going the way of Shuttle, and now for Melted, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Benji walking right into a crosshair before he was even fully set up. An unfortunate start to the round, and it's going to get even worse, unfortunately, as Melted now caught out by Shuttle also. He's up 2-0, just 45 seconds into the game here. Thomas looking to counteract it as it's all aggression right now for Mirage, trying to throw everything they have from this roam perspective at Astralis in the early round, but pretty much paying the ultimate price for it as they're immediately shut down into a 5v3. And Thomas has to back up down into the basement, grouping up with the two remnants aside from him and Marm and Gara as they try to shut out this round somehow.
Really unfortunate for Mirage that they couldn't invest any of Melted's utility inside of security or anything like that and try and get some extra info on that location. Ended up putting up one inside of the freezer stairwell, but just really didn't work out for trying to suss out where Shuttle was actually going to be pushing from. So just gets away with way too much. They're able to isolate the Mirage players and make these way too complex for them to do anything. Even past Tommy trying to come back up and assist them. I mean, the cutoff almost established from Astralis on that end as well, and lost even another body, but fortunately enough for them, that case did not happen, and it'll be a 3 versus 5 going into the last minute. For Astralis, able to soak up much of this time, use these drones and everything else in between to make sure that they know where Mirage is before they strike.
Iconic ready to swing, moving himself forward, already catching one player, but it's going to be J9O to secure the kill. More trades immediately coming in, though, as Thomas is able to pick up the only frag out of that skirmish for the defensive side. Otherwise, it is all Astralis as they take nearly a flawless round for themselves in the opening attack into the basement.
So, I mean, the setup there for Mirage was really lacking, just information-wise. They had no idea that the sledge pushed in through Z, and that's really all we have to talk about in that round, because that 2K is all you really need on an Oregon offense, especially for basement, to start trying to apply some pressure, especially when nothing's traded back. I mean, if it was a 4 versus 3, then, you know, maybe I feel you out in that situation. But when it's a 5 versus 3, the offense is up in that situation. I mean, it's very simplistic to push forward past that.
Yeah,
so.
Just managed to ultimately set up our attackers for a fairly easy assault on the site, despite Mirage's best efforts to throw that aggression back at them. There is going to sneak in the Aruni here, try to see if they can trip up Astralis with those extra gates, that extra bit of mitigation that'll now come in not only between her, of course, but on the Wamai as well as the Jaeger. So lots of ability to eat up nades here. Can't see Astralis' utility just yet, but we'll get a better idea of how many flashes they've brought in a second if they're going to be able to eat through that and still make their nades through once they spawn out. Not going to see a whole lot of repicks for them either. Just going to move the Lion on DP fire over towards a Buck. I think they want that additional soft breach here just because they may not need the intel given how straightforwardly that first round played out.
Interestingly enough, though, Mirage will be playing into the strategy from Astralis actually pretty well for their sake, as it looks like they want to try and hold on the base floor here. Melted will be up inside of Shower, and I believe we have Gara over inside of Kitchen. Now it'll be Tommy as of right now on the Jaeger. Like Gara just skimping on back to site. But this will be quite important to the overall story here, as DP Fire will more than likely be prioritizing this part of the map to try and abuse that skeleton key for the vertical angles on the potential players playing inside of kids' dorms.
It's going to be a lot quieter on this round compared to the previous hold here. Things developing a bit more slowly as Astralis have a little bit more to look out for as well, mainly with Melted and Thomas's positions underneath of the sites upstairs. Not seeing any sign of clearance leading over towards the attic side, so focusing mainly on this small tower clear right now as they try to force out the positions of Melted and Thomas and then work their way up to the site. Iconic will be leading the charge with DP Fire on that. We do have a few other members of Astralis working on accessing things for the Arsenal side, though, and you can see that swing starting now from Shuttle as he's going to take control and start to pinch from the other side of the map.
This is something that we've been noticing, time and time again for Astralis throughout the stage so far, is this decisive aggression. They don't push for no reason. They're going to drone things out, make sure that they know that the strategy that they're going for makes sense for the situation that's being presented by the defense, and we have that yet again here. First round, extremely quick execution into the mid floor, take out those two roamers. Now we're halfway through the round and no one's been touched on the defense. Astralis is trying to find where Mirage are possibly lying in wait, and they'll discover Tommy downstairs inside of security. He can't get rid of that drone, but he's waiting on somebody to pop to the hatch, so he has a means of escape. Forrest now up and into the master closet. He's just going to creep in here. Somebody on the bulletproof, I do believe. Will he be swung? It's a nade out. Iconic's going to get Marmalade, and the plant's now starting. I don't know if Tommy can get under Forrest here, but he's about to have this plant, and it looks like he'll be able to succeed. Shuttle will shut down Benji inside of Attic, and now it's a full retake here for Mirage.
Far too much Overwatch for that plant, so no way Mirage can stop it from going down. Guerrero's going to be able to get one exchange here, but that's it. Immediately, him and Melted will be traded out. And once again, aside from that one additional pickup, it is all an Astralis round all day here. As Iconic just yawning after that round finishes. It's an easy day for them so far here as they claim a 2-0 victory and another straightforward execute to get them in upstairs. We'll see where the additional rotation from Mirage is going to take them. Sometimes we'd see teams go to a first floor hold here, but Mirage probably doesn't have too much confidence in that given the current circumstances, so they're going to fall back into the basement.
Yeah, it feels like the best strategy for them as of right now. Their top floor defense, once again, lacking in information, John. This is back-to-back rounds where we've seen them punished by Astralis by simply finding a hole and walking through it. And, well, I mean, that's exactly what happened in that round. Forrest just walked through the master closet, and no one had any idea that that was the case. Extremely unfortunate circumstances for Mirage at the current moment, as Astralis is going to go up 2 rounds, but they have the ability to bounce back here, looking to see, looking to be very similar strategies to what Mirage had previously on their basement defense.
So not going to see any huge surprises here, both in the operator pick department as well as the attackers as well. We will see J9O just change out the sock breach a bit over towards the Flores so that they can send those into the basement a bit more directly and knock out some of the mitigation, of which there's still going to be plenty from Mirage. They are keeping the Malusi this time, as that had been swapped out for Valkyrie on the previous attempt. Obviously, Valkyrie still in play here. It'll just be spread out onto different players, but we'll be keeping the Malusi in check as well. So hopefully a better capability from Mirage to slow down the assault from Astralis just that little bit here, if they can get them to walk across the path of those Banshees.
Well, we'll see if Astralis makes a misstep here. We can see Melted playing pretty high on the big tower stairwell, but wants to try and play his life. He can have the Sledge of Shuttle getting in on the top side of the map, just trying to break up the floor and see if anybody will be playing around the kitchen location like they were the last time. This will be just a superior vantage point for him if that circumstance showed its face, but it's not going to happen here. Instead, Astralis will be droning out the rest of the map and realize that Mirage are more on a Turtle-esque setup. Mirage have also locked themselves out of Z with this freezer door here, so they'll be able to play stacked in here for some time being, unless they potentially want to try and rip this out, but more than likely not the case, as Astralis could be there momentarily.
Yeah, you gotta appreciate the confidence for Mirage to try things here, but unfortunately it hasn't really been working out too heftily in their favor. And more likely we're going to see them get pressed back into a box as we enter that last minute or so of play, with Astralis having full control over the first floor and the corresponding surrounding areas. Benji getting pretty unlucky there with that drone passing by. I'm just unable to connect the shot. The good news is, finds another one sitting downstairs just as he retreats, so he's going to be able to get away with that one. But that other drone from J9O will stay alive and well. We'll continue to be able to scout out the freezer positions alongside Iconics, as you're going to see them both buzzing away down there now.
Now, Now, Mirage looking for confirmation on what side this attack is going to be coming from. The big issue with Habana in play on this site is that she can get all of the hatches open. It makes it very difficult to try and predict where a potential Astralis member could be. They could be trying to pressure you from freezer while also trying to come in construction, or it could just be a full-on south attack. There's really no way to try and confirm that until you start seeing a multitude of bodies, and potentially the case here as Garrett gonna play this close for Library. He'll start losing his positioning due to these X-Kairos. Nobody will be able to get rid of those. There's a potential swing coming through for Freezer. The Nitro Cell will get burnt up from J90 as the push starts to come through.
A little under 40 seconds remaining here. This is the first round. We're really going to see Astralis get a bit stressed for time. Shuttle trying to sneak a nade into the closet by Laundry side. Won't do a lot of damage, though. Melted was down in the process, but now Trade's coming out, and it's in the favor of really no one right now. But Astralis takes the cake after everything settles. Marm now alone. She's been in these clutches before, but this one's going to be asking a bit too much as Astralis suddenly absolutely bullied out the remnants of the other team's roster and take another round for themselves here. A bit closer that time, though, as Mirage do a much better job of holding on.
Yes, indeed. And Iconic giggling, or well, more or less laughing straight to the bank with that round after he actually stabbed somebody, John. I don't know if you caught that in the kill feed, but he did indeed take that 6-inch steel blade and end up taking somebody's life. So it's a 3-0 lead now for Astralis. And, I mean, they're doing it in quite convincing fashion, but I think it's to be expected. I mean, Shuttle, as of right now, 8-0-0. It looks like we might have another over 2.0 rating for somebody on Astralis this game.
They're just trying to top each other's stats at this point. It's like a scoreboard for them.
I mean, at this point, he might just drop the nuke. I don't know, man. Like, maybe he's got hardline on. You know, he has to get 24 instead of 25.
Yeah, he's a few more away from that. He's like has like 17 more to go.
He's almost at the attack helicopter, and that's when things get really dangerous.
Things get really crazy here. Suddenly we're on border. But Astralis, we are going to see them continue to move in and continue to execute on these setups, as unfortunately Mirage just does not have the firepower to stem the tide.
Oh, man.
They do seem to have the strategy, or at least the thoughts on strategies to do so, but Stokes, what's up?
Astralis has pulled out all of the stops, my friend. We have Iconic on Finke. He was eyeing the Nook there for just a second, but now we have DP Fire on the Twitch and J90 bringing in the Zofia. So Forrest is really the only one that you could say is kind of lacking in firepower at the current moment in comparison to everybody else's guns. But even then, I mean, the 5.56 is still a great AR. So I think Astralis is finally just taking the kitty gloves off and been like, all right, we'll fight you.
Say that, but like, I'm pretty sure like the 5.56 is like my most accurate gun.
I mean, it has a very easy.
I really like that gun.
It's very good. It's a classic for sure. I'd say the L85 outdoes it in just like kind of the classic rifles inside of Rainbow Six Siege. I'd say the L85 just kind of outdoes it in a certain sense, but it is what it is. You know, I have a certain bias because it's not only on Sledge, but it's also on Thatcher.
That's true. So Forrest going to see if he can get himself a bit of Fragmite action here, but to go, of course, until we reach that point. You can see them, though, already working on hard breach setups for themselves. This is going to give them access to one of the site. It's for the meeting room walk-in, though. And this will be a very awkward plant without having cleared out the other side should they decide to go for it. Marm will have a really big advantage on this. However, I say that Iconic as well, looking to potentially catch someone in the mid-rotate. It seems like that player from Mirage is very well aware of the situation, though. And it's Guerrera as well, so good catch from him to not step out here and accidentally get his head picked off. Mirage are continuing to hold the tide back, but for how long? As these past 3 rounds, it seemed like an inevitability that Astralis would eventually breach through it. Will it be the same turn of events again?
Oh, no, he's in!
It's looking like it as Iconic just waltzes into the site, gets a second one as well by pre-firing out from the angle. Finally, he'll get traded by Melted atop of Freezer, but the cutoffs have arrived. The reinforcements are here, and Shuttle is immediately going to retrade that kill back out. DP Fire cuts down Benji as he tries to drop in from the attic hatch, and that will just leave Tomas alone in the 1v4. He's got a hot ping for one player there going on to DP Fire, I believe, but still not going to be able to do much about this. He's knocked out the second he drops in, and it's another, unfortunately, very one-sided round in the favor of Astralis.
I mean, you can call him a spearhead, but he practically cracked that site just wide open. Iconic bails in the kitchen window and just pushes in, fries one, pushes in the meeting, gets another, finally gets taken out by Melted inside a Z. It was just too much for Mirage. I mean, the entire heart of your site is now gone. Astralis responds extremely well because, well, they're still on actually, for the matter of fact, are on the outside of the building, John. So they can just respond instantly through the windows. There was just way too much there for Mirage to try and handle. And it's all because of, once again, again, they're just lacking any information around the close, proximity areas to their actual setup. I mean, they knew more than likely that the cutoff was there, the window was open, but I don't think that anyone thought that Iconic would potentially push that later on, and they just got completely cut off guard.
So some great counteractive action coming in from Astralis to constantly keep Mirage on their toes and thinking about where exactly to look next is going to maybe make them think twice about their more aggressive actions or even aggressive setups they've had in the previous rounds. I say that, but things are already looking a bit bleak for this team, so they might just try to continue to push the envelope on that for the sake of dry running it more than anything, given that once again Astralis seems to have so much control over this game right now. Currently Shuttle continuing to excel at a 9-0 scoreline. DP Fire also yet to die at 3-0. Rest of the team with very impressive scorelines as well. Iconic at 6-3 there, but Iconic again on the entry, so expecting him to go down a few times over the course of these rounds.
This is not looking too hot for Mirage. We got 2 more rounds here. This is round 5. Round 6 obviously next up here. This is the last 2 defensive rounds for Mirage, and we're gonna Tommy on the small office play here, one that you guys have probably seen at home quite a lot, but the issue with it as of right now is, well, there's really no backup plan for Tommy here. There's no one from Mirage to be able to support him on his exit or anything of the sort. It's simply hop out the window, hope he can possibly trade himself in a positive manner, and see what happens from that moment on, but not even that is going to come to fruition. And so back off and start looking to get back towards site just a little bit closer. Marmalade actually going to win things out up against Iconic, but this team's inside of sight. Forrest has already gotten one. Melted will get another from underneath, but DP Fire will take out Tommy, and now the gas canisters will work against Melted and actually keep him back. Astralis knows the cutoffs here. Shuttle will take down Melted, and Mirage yet again down for the count.
The intel game is just, once again, too strong from Astralis here. They know where every single member of Mirage is when they go for these executes. They're only getting caught off guard because it's surprise utility being thrown at them, nitro cells and whatnot that are tripping them up here and there, and that's why we see players go down under those circumstances, but that's it. Aside from that, it's still a very clean opener from Astralis. It gets a little touchy from this point forward, however. Now it's been brought down to a 3v2 as the kills that were made by Mirage were quite impactful, dropping the case and now denying their access to big window, so Astralis to some extent is trapped here.
Yes, indeed. And now Shuttle with the potential to get a nade here.
Look, he didn't even need to do it.
First, Marmalade goes down, an ill-advised angle picked up, and now Christian has to get something done. He's getting Twitch droned. He finally picks that up. Knows that more than likely one's out on the window, but what can he possibly get, especially with J9 bearing down in his position? He'll lose the fight, and Astralis will grab their 5th round.
Astralis seemingly has a tap into the CIA headquarters here because they just have so much information every single round. That nade play, especially highlighting it, Iconic, had that player dead to rights with that nade, assuming he had the timing down, but it ends up being completely unnecessary as they've got another player already the crosshair over top of his head. Just full, completely surroundment of the members of Mirage there as Astralis are just absolutely shutting it down on the attacking side right now.
I mean, they've completely discombobulated Mirage. They really don't know what to do at this moment, and that's not saying like, the team's just not playing well or anything like that. The strategies that they're going for simply aren't going to work from the jump. What Tommy did last round, that there shows you we're just trying to throw things at the wall and hope that it sticks. There's not a single piece of utility, no one there to try and support his overall strategy. There's just nothing that's really happening right now for Mirage. It's very default Rainbow Six Siege, and I mean, in this circumstance, it's more, hey, come take the site from us, because there's really nothing that we're going to be able to do in the first place. And really, that's not because of what Mirage is doing. It's really not their fault. Astralis is playing this so extremely well, and this is what I've liked about them this entire stage, John, is they don't take a game and go, oh, this is going to be easy. They go into every single round and they play exactly the same, no matter the competition, and that's what's been so fantastic to watch this entire time. Finally, we're going to have a trade here. Shuttle will finally die, but he's 11-1.
Melted here, still trying to push the envelope a little bit further, and Forrest also may get his chance at a fight as there's a player potentially pushing out from the laundry stairs. Forrest will probably realize this is a little bit touchy, so he backs behind those sandbags just to try and stay safe for a few moments, and he should remain safe as long as he's there. Benji, though, he's got another chance at a frag here as he's going to creep forward. Here's the drones going out. Couldn't see it, though, but the good news is he does have that jammer enabled, so it's going to be fairly invisible until he shoots that up, but it does reveal his position now, so he needs to back away from that, get away from the potential peek coming out from small tower there, and try to regroup with his teammates, or at least get himself into a trade position.
Well, Astralis, after losing Shuttle, will slow things down and lean into the drones yet again here. A good mark here from one drone might just find the Valkyrie and melt it. An ill-advised Nitro Cell. You have to know somebody's following that one up. J9 going to get a little bit too much done, but luckily enough, Benji's still here. He'll take him down, and it's a 2 versus 2. This is Mirage's best shot at getting around on their defensive side thus far.
Mirage doing a fantastic job of keeping the members of Astralis guessing, but it's seemingly random aggression coming out from them here as they try to peep up the staircases and jump out from any angles they might have pre-opened for themselves. Whatever they're doing, it's working for the time being, as it's constantly keeping Astralis guessing as the time continues to go down. And important to note, too, Marm has yet to use either of her 3 toxic babes there, so that's even more delay potential going to work its way down. She will have to be careful, though, as in a 2v2. There's now a lot of access points that'll be swung wide open and fairly undefendable by the defensive side just because they no longer have enough player power to properly do it.
Yeah, this is terrifying for either team, any way you slice it. It really comes down to this initial engagement and how the contact is played. The scary moment for Mirage here is, well, Astralis, both members have LMGs, and that has been kind of a reoccurring story so far throughout most of the recent history of Rainbow Six, is the amount of bullets that these guys can potentially carry.
Look at these are both like execute operators as well. So DP Fire is going to get that first kill versus Benji. Marm now trying to hold this all on her lonesome while having to fend off the Candelas and the Adrenal Surges coming in for both the operatives.
She saw it.
Catches the cross, not ready for the fight though, and Iconic continues to excel here today as he shuts down yet another round for his team. The lead continuing to grow ever further as Astralis are looking for a quick closeout on their day, currently with a perfect half at 6-0.
I mean, the last 30 seconds of that round told you everything that you needed to know about the differences in between these two teams. You have a perfect 2v2 situation. Both of these teams can potentially win it, but yet Mirage just aren't playing up to the caliber that Astralis are. We have one of the Mirage members way off inside a pillar trying to hold things down in construction. In the instant moment that that door is open for cons via that gone, J9 just takes their head off immediately, because that's how things are set up. They're playing off of each other's strategy. They're having that conversation mid-round and saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do, support this, do that, you know, move my way through. Mirage, it's just not coming together for them. It just seems like the conversation is lacking for this team at the current moment.
It seems like fairly simplistic how they're trying to counter what's coming out from Astralis too, and it honestly just seems like they're being like, all right, guys, let's get even more aggressive this round. Like that last round being a good example of it, where they're just like swinging up staircases, trying to take a lot of fights like that. And it doesn't, at least from what we can see, it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of like cohesion behind those types of plays. It just seems like, hey, guys, just like swing and see what happens. Like,
but they're playing like, okay, here's the other thing. There's one drone left on that whole team for Astralis, and they're playing the most common angles ever. If I blindfolded you and told you, hey, you have 0 information, but I just broke construction door on Oregon, what's the angles you're worried about? You'd say construction door or boiler door, whatever you call it, end to the right, and you'd say pillar. That's it. That's what you'd say. The person in elbow is more than likely either going to play close for your swing or they're going to play back on the shield. That's what's going to happen. So for Mirage, they're just practically giving it over to Astralis. They're giving them the most simplistic setup, and they're just running straight through it. But now for Mirage, I mean, they have to see what they can do on offense.
Keep in mind, of course, guys, that Mirage is not fielding their full roster today. Razor, unfortunately, is not able to play as he's taking some time away, so they have their coach filling in for them. As we can see on this round, though, things continuing to struggle for Mirage with that loss as, there we go! Nicely done, Guerrera on the blitz, finding a target and executing it as J9 gets traded, and we go down into a 4v4.
Oh, but DP Fire actually might have the strat for later on, unless he gets hunted down here by the blitz. All of the hatch is open, but he's already hightailed it back down to site for us with potentially another pick here, but now he's getting ran down by the blitz. Melted will take him out. A fantastic clear of the building, all off of the back of the coach.
Really good clear coming in here from Mirage, especially using the blitz to facilitate it. Not a lot of time wasted in doing that clear either, only needing about 1 minute and 15 seconds to properly do it, and the Astralis have now completely compressed themselves into the basement hold, and you can already see too, Mirage sending a few players forward, Melted, nearly able to knock the head off of one of the members of Astralis here. They're getting ready to execute with still 1.5 minutes on the clock. This is excellent time management coming in from Mirage right now.
Yes, indeed, and still plenty of drones to facilitate this push as well. Looking to see the setup currently. They know there's some player base around the freezer hallway, but it's all going to be up to Astralis and trying to make sure that they have all of these lanes covered that Mirage could potentially use to work their way towards site. Mirage, speaking of which, still plenty of time to open up a lot more access points. The only thing is that they're not going to be able to get the hatch for E-boxes. They do not have the potential to do that at the current moment. Tommy lacking in Selma charges, so looks like DP Fire and the rest of the squad more than likely ready for the Three avenues that Mirage could potentially take.
DP Fire not having full confidence to play behind the pillar because of the openings that have been made over by Electrical. And he'll have made good decisions in doing so, because now he can set himself up for this. Knocks out Thomas. Knows is another one trying to work their way in from construction side. Melted and Guerrera both end up winning fights. Guerrera was 1v2, and then Benji takes the final one. Nicely done as Mirage.
Blitz, they were definitely worried about it, and that's why we've got Shuttle bringing in the Grizh Vela.
Also going to see the Aruni throw down the laser gates too for DP Fire, so that can potentially slow some things down, or at least force the attackers to eat up a few more nades before trying to entry into the site, giving that extra warning over to Astralis here. Mirage has been executing and defending to some extent too off of like surprise hits, so this is going to try and take some of that surprise away and give Astralis better capability to play around that. But here we go. Mirage as well as Astralis now locked in. Both teams spawned out. Astralis is going to be doing a little bit of upstairs roaming here, as we can see some presence exercised on the first floor, mainly by Forrest and J9. That's not going to be the only bit of it, though. Shuttle continuing to maintain presence over by the laundry stairs. And I think they had another player, but okay, that's a big group. Suddenly working its way down the laundry stairs. They're going to rush this. There's one player pinching it from construction as well. Let's see how this goes as they force their way into the site. Are the defenders ready for it? No, they are not. A 2v1 exchange to start it off as Forrest is the only one to fire back. Now it's just him, J9O, and DP Fire that have to retake as the plant's gone down. A good snipe from DP Fire, though, as he knocks out Benji, but no eyes on the plant. The case is going to go down. Not good post-plant intel here either. We can see Mirage take off a lot of kills over the next few seconds, but they need to get into a position to do so. Guerrera now working his way back, and no, he's going to get cut off. Tomas, the only one able to survive so far, and now he's locked in a 1v2 here against both Forrest and J9O. But they don't seem to have a great idea as to where he is, so he's got time to play this out. Here's the cross where he can find one, knocks him down. Forrest is out, and J9O is left alone here suddenly. 20 seconds left as well. They're going to go for the res. 10 seconds to get on that counter defuse. Thomas reads into that res. He's going to go out, retakes the fight, and knocks out another player. And suddenly the 1v1 to decide it. Forrest needs to be on the case. He's out of time, though. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Even with the kill from Forrest, this round is going to Mirage, and they sustain yet again.
Very well done from Tommy. Like a cockroach in that round, man. He's just crawling everywhere trying to stay alive. There's nothing that Astralis can do. They don't have a bead on him. They have no idea where he's going, all except for that pre-fire once he crosses to pillar, but it's not enough time. With a very low HP Jaeger, you're never going to win that fight. Unless from, I mean, some stroke of luck, you just one-tap the man as soon as he peeks pillar. But past that, Mirage have gotten back-to-back rounds on their offensive side, and that's with a Thatcher Mav band.
I love how the strategy for Mirage right now is like, screw it.
Exactly, man. My favorite Rainbow Six, John. That is my favorite Rainbow Six Siege of all time.
It's like,
screw it.
It's like Guerrera's being like peer pressured by the other 4 players that are like doing like ridiculous things, and he's just like, yeah, I don't care. Go ahead, try it. Let's see what happens. No. Like, we're already down 5 rounds. What's the worst gonna happen? You're down 6.
I don't know if you caught this, but Tommy just said this. Riddle me this. How do you lose to a team that has their coaching?
And look, okay, we had it flash for a second there. He's back on it now. Let's see if he locks this one in.
Oh, please.
The Amaru pick.
After last week.
For the upstairs hold too. We kept seeing her on basement plays for some reason.
Yeah, after last week's adventure with the Gara hook with Beast Coast, I'm down with more Amaru being played for sure. I mean, she's just honestly got an overall great kit. You know, past the Gara hook. The Gara hook's pretty situational, and it requires your team to know, well, what the heck's going on. So when it comes to solo play, probably not the best, but she is definitely quite fun, especially with that G8 along for the ride. And speaking of which, Tommy's already in, but it seems like there's potentially an Astralis member that is aware of this situation. That'll be DP Fire downstairs, but speaking of Astralis, Forest will actually pick up Melted.
True indeed. They strike first. Tomas, meanwhile, will re-rotate up towards construction.
Nice.
J9O with the lineup there, just not able to find the heads of either player. And as well, a Toxic Bait comes in to save things. Thomas, though, does find his insertion point with that Gara hook, I believe, being used as well. However, instantly shut down by the cutoff. However, at the same time, Marm is right back in it. Guerrera's done it again as he wins another direct 1v1 with the Blitz, taking down Shuttle. It's in a 3v2. The plant is going down as well. Man, Mirage are just playing such a fast attack right now. Even I'm having trouble keeping up with this pace.
My God.
However, it's not over yet. Iconic here on a triple kill. He's brought it to a 1v1, interrupted the plant with one of those kills as well. That's the big note right now, because it's sitting in the open by big window room here. He's going to have to try and move himself forward, though. Doesn't have good intel, I'm going to assume, on where the last player is at this point here. So we'll wait for it. He's got the cross maybe for that case, though. No, won't be able to take him down outright because Benji goes around. He'll make another attempt at a plant. Iconic. Let's see where he'll run towards here, as we do have yellow pinks for it, but they're off the mark. Nowhere near the position of Benji. Benji here. So he sneaks off the defuse, and now the timer's ticking in the other direction. Iconic currently held back on White Stairs, a little bit too close to it as well. That could hurt him in the long run. That's another bullet he can't take inside of this fight suddenly. Benji is going way down the field in the meanwhile here, as he's outside big window, but Iconic might realize that he's going to force the issue. Does Benji?
No, Benji!
Wait, Iconic! Okay, he survives the nade, and Iconic with a massive clutch there, taking off his head. He's going to have plenty of time for the counter defuse on this round, and finally, this absolutely insane game will come to an end at a 7-2 scoreline. But what a comeback attempt from the players on Mirage.
Absolutely the case, my friend.